I am not a Negro, black, colored, African American. I'm a Moorish American. Peace.
Yeah. Hey, 5 on the right, 2 on the left, man. You know what time it is. Yo. We just Moors in America, soar through the shores and endure criminal acts of war on our character. 7 years after the 4th score, no reward. Shout out to the most courageous, they was jumping over barriers. Where does that compare to you? We come from a place where you scared to visit our area. We come from a place where it's scary for good Samaritans. Heavy luggage we carrying, babies having babies. It's crazy being American. Praise the one and only Allah, there's no comparison. La ilaha illa Allah, body and buried gin. Laughing at you clowns like ha-ha, dodging the Nephilim. Conquer lower self with the high, follow your regimen. Way before they came we were gods and now we specimen. Tried to take the light from our eyes, thank God for Edison. Then they put the wool on our eyes, it's so embarrassing. Now we travel frequently, we should invest in Sheraton. All of us got gold on our bodies whenever we stepping in. Screaming Ramadan, Mubarak, training the flesh again. Wishing we could move as a unit just like the Mexicans. Dodging all the foods with estrogen, synthetic medicines. All sin isn't devilish. Sometimes the decisions that you make come for a better gift. Sometimes when you sin is to relate to all your brethren. Heavenly gates all in our face, we the champions. We live in the sky, we see the angels on the chariots. Waiting on the $20 bill, face a Harriet. I bet you I'ma carry it. I'm in love with music to the point I wanna marry it. But my love for people is greater, so I write messages. Largest spending power, but we still sit at a deficit. Living amongst prejudice, even at our residence. Moors in America, flourishing, excellent. Let's buy up some neighborhoods and groom our own president. Yeah. And I come to you today with all intentions of spreading love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
All right. Islam, Moors, peace and love. This is Moors in America. This video represents the views of the presenters and our guests, and it's based off our own personal research and life experience. Just want to share this powerful measure with you. This is the Humanity Pamphlet. It is the entire thing. It's filled with proclamations from the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So this is a great study tool that you may want to go back to and share and bookmark and just help spread to get this information out so that everybody knows what the Prophet actually brought. So good evening, everybody. You're listening to the True and Living Lightbringer Moors in America. As always, we are uncovering and bringing glorious light to all issues pertinent to the Moorish American paradigm. That's what we do here on the podcast known as Moors in America. And here we're putting this information out so that you can get it from the source. You don't have to hear what it is and what it isn't from anyone else. So make sure that you share this. Everybody watching, click like and share. And enough talking. Let's go ahead and get to it. But first, we're going to get a word from our sponsors, everybody. If you have any business, any organizations, make sure you go to Real Traffic Marketing for all your marketing needs. And we're going to get started now, Moors. Peace and love.
Salvation Unity. From the Moorish God Noble Drew Ali, the cares of the world, salvation to all nations, a message of truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Salvation Moorish Guide reprinted by request _ on Humanity Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the cares of the world, salvation to all nations, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. The Prophet has spoken. From 1928. All governors and grand sheiks and head officials that guide any body of Moors of any temple of Dhurga, he or she must be of moral standard and a heart of love, and their works must be of love, truth, peace, freedom, and they are to imitate the Prophet in speech and teaching in any said temple. They must not be under the influence of intel motive that will terminate to become a detriment to the organization. It must be known that any leader is at home or must allow the public to know of their wrongdoings. They must forever live the life of love at home, and it must be known they must not speak rash words or use any profane language in the mildest form before any other individuals. Because a leader without influence of good works cannot be a leader, and to be a real Moorish leader you must study the Quran and the divine handed down unto you by me, the Prophet. No finance businesses are to be opened with any group of members of any or grand sheiks or whosoever in charge without the consultation of me, the Prophet. Me, the Prophet, because that money is to finance the Moorish movement. The head of any funds which cannot exceed the amount of from 25 to 50 cents a week per member. All public collection ending of each said temple and its domestic works. No finance book is to be in any temple. Every temple must by law obey the word of the Prophet, and if any leader or head of any temple fails to obey these laws, is subject to enforcement of the law by the grant body, and the penalty may be a fine or removal from office, or placed under law. Supreme words of the Prophet. Noble Drew Ali. Prophet Drew Ali needs strong men and women. Friday, September 28, 1928. If you race, join the Moorish Science Temple of America and become a part of this divine movement. Then you will have power because you will know who you are and who your forefathers were, because where there is unity there is strength. Together we stand and come, good people, because I, the Prophet, sent to redeem this now have, need every one of you who think that your condition can be better. This is a field open to strong men and take your place in the affairs of men. If the European and other nations are helping me, why not you? It is you. The Negro problem is being solved only as it can, and that is by the Moorish national divine movement. If you have a free national name in order to be recognized by this nation as an American citizen, this is what, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all these things would be added unto you. A warning from the grand sheiks and head officials of all temples. Friday, October 26, 19. Renew your acts, amend your ways. Because the great conference is on its way, and in it is where the law will be. The continuance of the present officers in the temple will depend on your past good work. Those who have that they will not be tolerated any longer, because this great divine and national movement must move on according to be proclaimed. There is no favorite in any of the temples, for the law is laid down and everyone who claims accordingly. All are one. There is but one temple in this nation, and there is but one prophet of the temple to speak to all nations, bringing them a message of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Anyone has violated these divine laws, it will mean his discontinuance, for no man is to be under the influence of intoxicator up the families while under the influence of any evil motive, nor must he speak anything that will prejudice the divine movement. If any of the laws are violated, any body of grand sheikh or sheiks can fuddy over which the Prophet presides. This power is vested in 7 or more sheiks for the protection of your temple, and the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Friday, March 1, 1929. Our divine and national movement stands for the specific grand principle, peace, freedom, and justice. And I, the Prophet, am apply to all loyal, faithful Moor and the American citizens to help me in my great uplifting acts of uplift fallen humanity. Among the Asiatic race erred much and severely in the past through misunderstanding of what the movement was dedicated to. It is the great God Allah of this divine and national movement. I know all true American citizens are identified by national and national dislike to the free national constitution of this free national republic of the United States of America. That's why I am calling on all true me morally and financially in my great work. I am going to help this national government, for with the flag of the government in which we live. This is from your true and divine Prophet unto all American and foreign sympathize but Noble Drew Ali. General laws as said by the Prophet. Friday, no, every temple and the head is to function by words, deeds and action, imitating the Prophet, especially with any group of Moors. These are the general laws. The head of all temples are to submit a report monthly of all finances. The heads of temples are to full words, profanity in the mildest form all the members of his or her temple. They must freedom and justice and refrain from all alcoholic liquors or any other harmful possibility that will turn principles. They are not to contribute to anything that will cause the public to disagree with him or her. And for one to leaders you must keep your house clean. Clean with good deeds, kind words. Your wives, brother words, kind words, and must know of your good deeds. If there are children you must see to their support. For if you don't restrict to this divine principle, then you are not a true Moor and the heads are not to charge for membership or to uttans or for anything issued by the Prophet. Those who contribute to either of the preceding are not Moors but robber, jip, sister, and brother, is free not only here but all over the world. The button is $0.2 and 1 month's dues is paid. Every member pays $0.50 a month for due support of the temple. This, if not paid, does not entitle you to the protection if you are working or in the position to work. If you neglect to fulfill this small duty assigned you, how can you rightfully ask for the help when you are sick or otherwise disabled? The Prophet Noble Drew Ali. All sheiks, grand sheiks, must prepare for the Prophet, before he comes to visit them as far as comfort is responsible, or otherwise don't arrange to have his presence. All members should pay from 20 cents weekly towards the emergency fund. This fund will increase so that it will soon amount if you are loyal Moors. The emergency fund goes into the bank. The treasurer will tend to the responsibility of seeing is in the bank, yes, and under the name of the Moorish Science Temple of America Finance. When needed, act according to the law pertaining to the procedure of performing an emergency act. No head of any said temple is to borrow from any member more than from 5 to 10 unless by notification of the Prophet. The necessity for the loan. When any said temple desires, first notify the grand body or the prophet, and it must be purchased under the name of the Moorish Science Temple of America, or noble. Individual name should never be applied. I, Noble Drew Ali, am responsible for all finance including purchase of and whatever it might be that pertains to finance, so therefore, let the prophet know what is on me. Slip drastically. So you had better lace up your shoes before I get there. Every business anything pertaining to finance is to be transaction in the name of the Moorish Science Temple of America or Noble Drew Ali, Grand Treasure, just as in the days of our forefathers. Then you are a nation. Until then you are nothing. It is issued by no book, but by an emergency card punched according to contribution, then marked on book. Law must live. The government is behind me and I must get behind you, for I must. My mission is the heads of all temples, Grand Sheikhs must confirm to the divine principles, freedom and justice. They must live the life among the members, and be loved even as the Prophet is loved. Not practice the principles of segregation among any group in his or her temple. Let it be he or she, the Moorish Science Temple of America, that there should come any grievance that cannot be settled by the head. Notify the Prophet at one. Member is to attend a depth chamber that has not lived a moral and clean life and have not paid their dues or their assessment, providing, working or able, cannot consider themselves Moors, but a traitor and must be excluded from the book. A head of their temple and name must be sent into the grand body, and all members that are to subscribe toward the uplifting fund, because it takes finance to uplift a nation. And those that are able and fail to act, are not Moors, but a traitor to their cause and trust and nation, and are not allowed to share all the Moorish honors, and the penalty is embezzlement of the faith of our Moorish creed. All heads of laws. By order of Noble Drew Ali. Temple tax necessary. Convention paid monthly. Because of the fact that the expense of the operation of the temple is necessary to vote a tax to the Prophet to carry on the work. This idea was concurred with by the Supreme Grand Act is so arranged that it will not be a burden to any of the temples, but the Prophet is very emphatic that it shall not be ignorance of operation has heretofore been taken care with funds received from the manufacturing department. Hence the tax was necessary. This tax is 25.25 per month per capita. This will mean that the numerical strength of the temple will bear the proper share of the responsibility. This per capita tax is intended to apply to all members alike. Governors and Grand Sheikhs included. Officer in charge of each temple will cause a report to be rendered to the Supreme Business Manager of the Supreme Grand Council, Banu, Chicago, Illinois, which will specify and itemize the following: number of adepts, number of new members taken in each month or those who join after the rendition of the last report, name of each such members as the representation tax. The per capita tax collecting 28. All concerned will save themselves of being penalized if they render their reports promptly and specific. Otherwise, it will necessitate a representative calling on such delinquent temples and auditing their books to be borne by the temple. All governors and other officers will be held responsible further by order of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Prophet warns all Muslims. Governors ordered to read at each meeting. Friday, January 15, 1929. And all radical agitating speeches while at work, in their homes or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans, it causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, and principles are violated, justice then must take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious fiat, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah, for all true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their Prophet. If they lose confidence in their Prophet, they should turn in their card, button, crease wearing their turban or fez and return to the state where I, the Prophet, found you. Movement founded by the Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and if the Prophet is not right, the temple is not right. Is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their Prophet and the temple. This is founded by the Prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sins. By order of Prophet Noble Drew Ali.